Welcome back to another episode of the House Always Wins podcast. I'm Joey Andron.
I'm Chance Vanek.
And today we have a special guest straight from Canada, Sunni Yaremchuck.
Perfect.
I nailed it.
Yes,
Nailed it.
First try. It's one of those last names, you have trouble with the first time that you hear it, but beautiful name. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. It's incredible to be here.
Yeah. So you are pretty much going to hit the podcast and then you're back to Canada. Is that right?
I fly straight to Mexico in about a few hours.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So is that kind of like, that's a completely different stop and trip for you?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and I want to touch on that, right? Because I think this is pretty fascinating, right? You in Canada, which part of Canada do you live in?
Alberta.
Alberta. Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Alberta. Like I've seen so many Instagram photos and like everybody wants to take a trip to Alberta.
Straight to Lake Louise, I'm assuming.
Yes. Yeah. The Emerald Lake, mm-hmm. right? Do you ever go?
I've been quite a few times, yes, but once you go enough, it's like, okay, yeah, it's beautiful, but let's go somewhere else.
It's kind of like living on the beach.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I know. I like every time my wife and I look at pictures and we see Canada and Alberta, we're like, oh my God, we have to go kayaking. We have to do something. We have to make that a trip.
Yeah.
So definitely worth it.
Yeah.
All right, we're doing it. Have you ever seen those?
I'm sure I have.
Yeah.
I want to look them up right now, as a matter of fact.
Oh my God.
But how did we get to Las Vegas in the first place? Sunny, how did you get to Las Vegas?
With a plane.
Oh, that's clever. What brought you to Las Vegas besides after you got off the plane?
Ray brought me to Las Vegas.
Okay.
So we met in Guadalajara about 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
And we started talking real estate and development. And I was looking into purchasing a property there. And he connected me. So I thought it'd be great for us to catch up. And he was like, oh, why don't you stop in Las Vegas before you head down to Mexico? So here we are.
I love it. Mm-hmm. So you're not a real estate agent, but you are an investor.
Yes.
Okay. And how long have you been investing for?
Since January 2023.
Okay. So fairly new at it.
Yeah.
So is your primary market in Canada, or are you only looking to do things in Mexico?
Primary in Canada at the moment, but looking to diversify a little bit more and work with more investors in Mexico as well.
Okay. And what's your product look like in Canada? Like, what do you buy? Do you buy multifamily, condos, single family homes? Do you flip, buy and hold? What's the story?
So what I started with is flipping properties. So I had townhouses, a couple houses, condos. So I bought those, fixed them up, flipped them. I rent a few of them out at the moment. And then I realized that you can make money a lot faster by just wholesaling them.
Okay.
So I decided to go into wholesaling, but more on the smaller commercial side of things. So I've wholesaled like 3 multifamilies in the past couple months here. So
okay.
Wow.
Picking up a lot of speed with like a lot of like corner lots because most of the developers are picking them up pretty quickly. There's new regulations in Edmonton as of January 1st. So you're able to build like an 8-plex on a small lot where you normally would have been able to just have a single family house. So the developers caught wind of that before the homeowners did. So I tried to, do a little bit of marketing, find the right people, talk to the right people, and get those types of properties at the moment. So it's been going very well.
And do you have a team, or are you doing this all by yourself?
I have a few people who work for me remotely, and I work with quite a few partners, and realtors send me a lot of referrals as well. And often I sell off my properties through realtors, so it's just beneficial both ways.
Like wholesaling has been like the jam.
Yeah.
I mean, not for me personally. Like, I don't even know like how to approach it because I've been doing real estate for 20 years, and I just do the conventional investment property here. I've done some flips, but like the wholesaling, I receive, I want to say at least 20 to 25 text messages and phone calls from wholesalers looking for deals. Is that something that you guys do? Like, do you have an ISA that just blasts people all day long looking for deals?
No, I don't do that. So I get the leads typically on my own. So I have a few virtual assistants who work for me, and they call different lead lists that I have, and they're all like pre-qualified sellers who are already interested in selling their places. So I'm not like just bothering random people. And I also do a lot of like calling for rent ads that look completely terrible and no one's wanted them for months. So those are typically people who do sell quite frequently.
Okay.
And then I work with realtors when they have a property that's like completely gutted, or the last one was a multifamily that just has the asbestos removed because there was a fire in it. So that's typically when I work with the realtors, not to just like harass them, give me your leads.
So, Sunny, you just said you got into this 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you went quickly from flipping to wholesaling to commercial wholesaling. Like, how old are you?
23.
How did you figure this all out so quickly?
I was fascinated by it, and I love learning, and I kind of worked for free for someone for like 6 months and learned everything there was about the contracts, what to do, what to say, how to do calls, how to have open houses for flips. And then I just fell in love with it, and I kind of worked probably a little bit too hard, so I don't really go out. I pushed social life away a little bit for now, but I think it's definitely worth it.
Do you want to mention the person that you learned from, or
his name is Solomon Belita. So we were working together for quite a while. We do have a rental house at the moment together.
Okay.
I found it on Kijiji, and I negotiated with the seller and bought it for $24,000.
Whoa!
Wow.
What was it worth when you purchased the house?
$200,000.
What?
So why wouldn't the person who owns that property sell it for the $200,000?
It was an estate sale. So the person inherited the property, wanted nothing to do with it, and wanted cash, and didn't know how to do marketing at all for it. He couldn't even figure out how to post it on Facebook or anything like that. So it needed probably a little bit of work, but the other properties that are on the market in that city are going for $250,000. So we picked it up cash with a capital partner, and then I found a buyer for $115,000, and we seller finance it out to that person.
Wow!
So
great job.
we have a
23 years old.
What are we doing wrong?
We're too old.
Can you
We're too
introduce
old.
us to Solomon? What's his name?
Yeah, for sure.
We don't need Solomon. We got Sunny. Where's the course? Let me get my credit card. Sunny, that is an amazing story. I'm blown away.
Yeah. God, I was at raves at 23.
Oh,
right.
But going back to the wholesaling as a real estate agent, it's kind of difficult for us because there's a lot of gray lines in wholesaling.
There is.
And with our, the licensing, I think the brokerage, I don't even think we can wholesale here. I don't.
Yeah, they frown upon it just
Yeah.
because you're supposed to be acting as an advisor to the buyer or the seller and trying to get them the most for their money.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, everyone's situation is different. Now, if you approach them and say, hey, we can list your house on the market and try to get top dollar for it, but here are a couple other options that we have for you. And then if they make a decision at that point, then you can proceed. But we can't kind of cold call people.
Yeah.
To try to wholesale their property being a licensed real estate agent.
Yeah,
There's
can't
just
send out
that
cold
gray
texts.
line. It just opens yourself up for lawsuits.
A lot of lawsuits.
Yeah.
Now, Sunny, you mentioned you had a capital investor. Do you use other people's money for all of this stuff, or?
For flipping, I started off using, I had my family co-sign for me. So I put the down payment down, did the renovations, used my own capital for that. And then I've always had my own businesses, so the banks don't really like that too much.
Okay.
So I had to go through a co-signer to get the mortgage that I had. And I've done that for most of them that I've done.
Okay.
And with the last property, or the property that I bought in August that I was mentioning, that one was through a capital partner. So they put up the $24,000, then they're 1/3 owner of the property.
Okay. Now I'm going to ask a question. You don't have to answer it if you don't want to, but I think everyone's question when they hear stories like this, especially from a 23-year-old, is how do you start with, where do you get the money to start, especially at such a young age? And you don't have to answer that question, but how much money did you have when you started this to do your first flip?
The down payment was $20,000 because it was a townhouse for $215,000, and the renovations were minimal. So it was I think $7,000 for all of the renovations. I did
That's pretty cheap.
flooring, paint jobs, some
Wow.
fixtures.
So about $30,000
Yeah.
to start on your first flip. So you got to figure out how to make $30,000 to
Yeah.
get into this, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, every market's different.
Sure.
So you do have different price points. What's your median home price in your market?
$350,000.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, you can find houses here for that. I think here in Las Vegas, our market has escalated so quickly that it's really tough to find homes with a lot of margin. When I first moved out here in 2013, I flipped a few homes, and the average return was about 35%. Now you're lucky to get 5 to 8% in
Right.
some cases, and you're putting a lot of money out there. You're risking a lot to get a small return, and they started doing micro flipping just to keep momentum and just to stay active in the market.
When you say micro flipping, that's the profit is
Yeah,
micro?
very small profits.
But
now some can find really stellar deals and you can really make that 15, 20%. But in my experience, every deal that a wholesaler sends me, I'm looking at these deals, I'm like, how do you expect you're trying to sell the property to me that needs probably about $50,000 to $60,000 worth of work at market value. So you'd be the new comp in that area if it sells at where you need it to make that spread. So it's like, it's pretty risky.
It seems like the guys who have a lot of money, like how do you say it?
Vocal?
Yeah, he was talking about how they get so much money through social media. I mean, if you're sitting on $20 million, you just keep it moving, and you have the crews and everything who needs to go to work every day.
Well, when you're in that luxury space here in Las Vegas, I don't know how it is in Canada, but you're taking a major risk. And obviously, right, you're buying a $2 million house, and then you're going to try to resell it for $4 million after putting in $500,000, right? So that's a big risk. But the way that this market is trending upwards, and we're seeing our luxury market grow so quickly, that if you have the cushion and you have that risk tolerance, you could definitely make a lot of money, but you could also lose pretty quickly too.
Sure.
So I think that's why a lot of people transitioned into wholesaling, because you don't have any risk. What's your risk? It's time.
Right.
Sure. And you tie that contract up and then you sell the contract. So I think it's great what you're doing. I mean, at 23, you fast forward 5-10 years, my God, you're gonna be a mogul. It's gonna be awesome, right? It's gonna be so cool.
Awesome.
And do you also flip luxury houses?
I don't. No. So what my plan is right now, we close on a house right over here in Silverado Ranch. It's about 15 minutes from the airport, 15 minutes from the Strip, single story, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, pool, above ground jacuzzi. Bought it for $450,000, renovated the kitchen. We're fully furnishing it. I hired a designer to furnish the entire property, and then we're going to use it as a midterm rental.
Okay.
So midterm rentals here in Vegas are doing really well. Short-term rentals, you have to have a license. In Henderson, in Las Vegas, it's illegal. So anything beyond 30 days you can do. So that's kind of where my focus is at right now.
Joey, how do they rent out these on Airbnb, the units like in Palms Place?
Because it's a hotel condo.
Okay.
So it's already designated as a hotel, so you can do short-term rentals there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then on Airbnb, aren't you allowed to put it for 28 days plus, and then you're able to rent it out as a
Here, from my understanding, here it's 30 days.
Oh, okay.
30 days. So you'll see a lot on the MLS, 1 to 3 months, 6 to 9 months, 6 to 12.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I'm excited about that. I mean, we're going to see where it takes me. That's my first one. I'd like to get 2 or 3 more this year. And then maybe get into some flips after that. But yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting. I'm pretty pumped about it.
Amazing.
So in the course of 3 weeks, you went from Canada to Guadalajara to Vegas. You're going back to Canada and then back to Guadalajara. Is that what I took in?
No, I started in Canada.
Okay.
And then came to Las Vegas, then Guadalajara, then Puerto Escondido, then back to Guadalajara, then back to Canada.
And then when do you go back to Vegas, or back? Where are you going from here?
I go to Montreal the weekend when I get back for another conference, and then after that, probably book another flight to Mexico or something like that.
Jet set.
Jet setter. So when you're in Mexico, what are you looking at? Because I know there's some developments that are happening right now. You had mentioned Ray. He's awesome. So he got you involved into the Mexico market, or you just met him down there and he introduced you to different projects?
He introduced me to different projects. So I was already looking at real estate in Mexico, but I didn't have like a set location. I was actually, when I met him, I was on my way to Sayulita to look close by there, like in Lo de Marcos, to see if there's any properties there. And he's like, oh no, come to do stuff in Puerto Escondido. So I'm like, okay, it seems a little bit nicer there. It's like, it's almost like an undiscovered Bali, in my opinion, or like the Bali of Mexico from what I've seen. So I'm really excited to start up there and get some more eyes in Puerto Escondido.
So are you looking at buying individual condos in these developments, or are you doing single family homes? What's the development?
My game plan would either be a condo or like a single family home to develop. So I'd probably purchase the piece of land and then build up from there.
Now in Mexico, you purchase property differently. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you have to purchase it in a trust?
Yes.
Okay. And then you have to go through a trust attorney to purchase it. But do you feel like there's a lot of risk there?
I feel like there definitely is risk, but if you know the right people and you've seen it already be done before by other people, and I've spoke with quite a few individuals from Edmonton and Calgary who have purchased in Mexico, and they have no problem. They have like 5+ Airbnbs that are doing amazing, and they live half time in Mexico. So I'm like, if that's the risk and there's that kind of a reward, then I'm going to go for it.
Is it still, you don't really ever own the property? It's like a 99-year lease or something along those lines, the ownership in Mexico?
The ownership, it's dependent on where you are. So some of the land is native land to Mexicans, so you're not able to fully purchase it. And with the other land that you're able to purchase, I think it's all dependent on the area that you choose. So you have to kind of do your own due diligence with that.
Interesting. Yeah, I know you can't buy beachfront property.
Yeah.
Right? So they don't let any foreigners buy beachfront. So you have to be inland. Do you know, is it like a 2 mile or 3 mile distance requirement, or it just can't be physically on the beach?
I believe it's not physically on the beach, but I haven't done too much digging into that. So I'd have to do my own research with that.
Okay. You say physically on the beach? We have Ray in the studio. He's in the background.
You can't be physically on the beach, but you can buy right behind it.
Okay.
Because physically on the beach is technically federal property.
Got it.
You can still develop on there, but you have rights to the land, but you just don't own it like you do here.
Okay.
So it's the same thing.
Yeah. You know, I kicked myself. About a year and a half ago, I had an opportunity to buy in this beautiful development in Tulum. It was the last penthouse unit. It was a 2-bedroom, freaking gorgeous, for $90,000. And I told my buddy, I was like, we just need to split it. It's like nothing, $45,000 each. And the reason why I know about the trust is because I did a little due diligence on that, and I was speaking to the trust attorney in New York, and my buddy got cold feet. And he didn't do it. And I'm like, son of a gun, man. Because, I mean, everything else that was renting as on Airbnb in that community or that development was killing it. Mm-hmm. And he got cold feet. So,
do you know what it's worth now?
I would imagine it's probably somewhere around 150 at least.
Mm-hmm. Everything in Tulum kind of exploded after the airport came in.
Yeah, I know.
Mm-hmm.
I heard it's
story of my life.
Good party.
I missed another one.
So that's why you got to go to Puerto Escondido, $25,000 lots, bro.
Really?
With beach views, man. Yes.
Beach views.
And the airport becomes international. That'll be the next podcast. When I bring my other partners, we'll jump on.
Okay.
Wow.
It's popping there, bro.
I heard that
Retiring with that.
at the nice bars and restaurants, when you go to the bathroom, like they offer you like the towels and like some cocaine too.
At Puerto Escondido?
Tulum.
I don't know about Tulum.
I had a friend
that's
just
how
went
they-
down there for like
Is it really?
a wedding, and they went in the bathroom, and the little guy's like, well, you know, here's the cologne, the lifesaver, and cocaine.
I'm like, don't mind if I do.
It is that way, man.
Really?
It really is, yeah.
That's insane.
Little spots, little beach spots.
Yeah.
Damn, I've been missing out, man. I need to go to Tulum, maybe. I could have had an Airbnb in Tulum. I'd been, be right back.
But what
Gotta
about
go to the bathroom.
what about the risk that you would have had?
The risk there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
It's cocaine, man. Who cares?
Just for the blower, the
Yeah, I'm confused with the question. Is there?
This podcast is over. We're going to Tulum.
So that's awesome. So you're going to start investigating more into the Mexican market. You're going to buy some more properties there, Airbnb, investment rental properties, and then you're also going to continue your wholesaling in Canada.
Yeah.
Now, are you looking anywhere else in the States to expand your business, or are you just going to focus on those two markets for now?
Right now, I'm just in Alberta at the moment. The next place that I'm planning on going is BC, so the next province over.
Yep.
And then from there, I haven't exactly decided where to pivot. I definitely think States will be on the list, but I'm not too sure if it will be within the year. So it just depends if the right opportunity comes up, and got to really focus in on an area so you're not really...
I love BC.
Yeah.
I love it. I love going to Whistler.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, you've been there?
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it has the best skiing in the world. Yeah, Black Homes.
Have you ever been to Lee Canyon?
I was just there yesterday.
I saw that. The horses.
Yeah. But I love the Canadian market, but it's completely different from the U.S. market. I don't think a lot of people understand what that means. I mean, here we have different loan products, right? We have FHA, we have conventional, we have VA, we have 10, 15, 30-year mortgages. And it's not like that in Canada.
Not at all, no. We have 3 to 5 year mortgages, and a lot of people go open mortgages, so they just are variable with whatever the rate is that month. So it's very different.
So how does that like keep people in their homes? You know, so give me an example. Like here, you know, during COVID, everybody was flooding the market because they wanted to get that sub 2 or 3% interest rate, right? And we had a massive influx of buyers into the market, and people were doing crazy things to get homes. But we locked that in for 30 years. Like I locked in a 2.99% interest rate for 30 years. I'm not going anywhere, right? Like I'm staying. Or that's going to be another investment property if I do leave, right? I'll never sell it. And now people are looking at 7 or 8% in some cases. Investors are looking at, close to 9 in some cases. So what does the interest rate look like in Canada?
Right now it's around 6 to 7. And it just depends on who you go with, kind of what your history is. But a lot of people who are getting a place for their first time, like new homeowners, they're completely getting screwed, and they don't really have too much of an option unless they want to keep renting forever. So rentals are going crazy right now. Like anything you throw up will be rented within like 24 hours, essentially.
So I saw a post. It was in Vancouver, and people were renting out the other side of their bed. Is that true? Like they were legit. Like I'm renting out the other side of my bed, my mattress. Like
I could imagine that it's true
because rent was so expensive that people can't afford it. They're like, "Yo,
that's
$1,500. You get the cold side."
The cold side. How much is rent? Average rent?
Vancouver is different than Edmonton. Yeah. Edmonton's getting a lot more attention and a lot more eyes at the moment. So right now I have a condo that I rent out, and it's $1,300. So it's a 1-bedroom, 700 square feet, but I wouldn't say it's like in an A-class neighborhood.
Yeah.
Typically rent for like a townhouse, you'll see like $2,300, and then a house, it's closer to like $3,000. Okay. So it just depends on where you are as well in the city. But I see it growing exponentially. Like every few months, it's like higher and higher, and there's more and more people coming into Edmonton because it is the cheapest place, I would say, in like almost all of Canada. That
for
is
now.
the capital. Yeah.
For now, right? And that's the sentiment across the entire country for us. I mean, rents are at an all-time high. Home values keep going up. They thought that the higher interest rates were going to bring home prices down, but they just keep climbing. They just keep breaking through. So you have a lot of people that are sitting on the sidelines and they're missing out on opportunity to lock in that lower home price. But
they're waiting for the crash, Joey. Waiting for the crash.
Yeah, you can be waiting for a long time. But it's kind of interesting, and I feel bad for these people. I was never one of the agents that would promote this, but it was, I don't know if you saw it on social media, it was like, marry the house, date the rate. Marry the house, date the rate. And they were pushing these houses and pushing these mortgages on people, and they were like, well, if I can afford $3,000 a month for the next 12 months, I'm good. Well, it's been 12 months, and those rates have only been going up. And now they're like, shit, I can't refi.
Right.
If I do, I'm going to be at $3,200, $3,300. So now they're stuck. So I wonder if we're going to see a lot of delinquencies here. I think they probably already started, but it'll probably be like another, I would say 12 months before we really see the effects of it. But going back to the rates in your area, so you're at 6 to 7%. Now I'm at 3 years. Typically, do people see a jump from where they're at? Or, what is that break point? Does it go down a quarter point, an eighth of a point, or maybe a full point?
Well, right now, like 3 years ago, it was like at 1.2. So it jumped a lot in the past 2 years just because more and more people are buying, and the banks are trying to stabilize something that they had imbalanced previously, in my opinion. But I'm not a mortgage specialist, so I don't want to speak on that. So I would say that if you had a mortgage 3 years ago, you're good. But if you're wanting to refi and get a different rate right now, you're completely out to the moon. So
God.
What is the average household income in that area? Do you know?
In Edmonton?
Yeah, wherever you're doing business.
I would say maybe like 80,000.
Okay.
So nothing crazy, but there's a lot of like variation.
That's higher than Las Vegas, right? Mm-hmm. Average household's about 60 here, I think.
Yeah, it's around 70. But you have to make around 100,000 to 110,000 to live comfortably.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So everyone's miserable right now.
Yeah. even if you make like 100,000, it's difficult for some people to get mortgages at the moment. So a lot of people are looking at like alternative routes on what to do and are just getting completely screwed with the rates that they get. So
renting beds. You rent your bed.
Yeah, you just rent out the other side. But you know what's happening right now, you're having a lot of people move into Las Vegas and to other states. People are migrating across the country from, when I moved from Miami, I came out here, was I paying like $2,200 or $2,300 for 750 square feet. And I was living in Miami, right? I had a great view overlooking the water. It was perfect. And I moved out here and I was paying $1,800 or $1,850 for a 2-bedroom, 1,300 square feet. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I can get what I can get out here for what, what I'm paying. And all my friends thought I was nuts. They were like, why are you paying $1,800 for this condo? I'm like, well, number one, it's new. It's a good location, I thought. But they were like, dude, you could actually go out and get a house with a pool and all that for like $1,500. And I'm like, but I kind of like it here. It's like that condo life,
That
right?
was the one, what are they called? Right there on Stephanie, right?
Oh, that's the Vantage. So I moved from the Modern, which was on Flamingo and El Capitan.
Yeah.
It's called Park now. But that's what's happening. You have people moving from other markets and they're like, oh, this is actually not that bad. But the people that are born and raised here, that have lived here forever, they're like, I can't believe what's happening to prices.
Oh, yeah.
People who work in the hotels, that are in the service industry, and they can't keep up with the rising costs of living in Las Vegas. So what happens? They get displaced and they go to other markets, or they live paycheck to paycheck and they're suffering right now because inflation's through the roof and everything else, right? So you have, like in your market, people are going to start moving from that Edmonton area into another location. People are going to relocate there because it's cheaper, but they're just going to keep driving the prices up.
Yeah.
It's just like this cycle that just keeps happening.
A lot of people are moving out to like the suburbs right around the city, like 15 minutes out, so they can afford something that they're used to. But it's a lot more affordable than if you were to buy like inner city or within the city limits that you have in Edmonton at the moment. Do you find that a lot of people have been moving into Las Vegas in the past couple of years?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean,
Never stops.
Yeah. I think last summer over 5,000 people came from California. But that was just from the summer. I mean, we've had such massive growth. I mean, I don't even know what the stats are.
I think it's usually about 5,000 a month.
Yeah.
But a lot leave as well. Very transient. A lot of people coming, always a lot of people leaving.
I think more are moving because before, like, and he's born and raised here, so he's seen this place grow. There weren't many rental condos being built, rental apartments. Now they're building everywhere.
Yeah.
Right. Just to, accommodate everyone moving here. And the home builders haven't slowed down at all. I mean, they're building on every freaking corner and they just keep going. All that vacant land in Summerlin, in the Northwest, in the Southwest, they're just building and people are buying. So I think there's more people moving here than there are leaving.
Dude, what about the rental houses? Have you seen those?
What's that?
It's a builder. They build a brand new tract and then they just rent them.
Oh yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So that's what they're doing. And Blackstone, you're probably familiar with Blackstone. They're basically buying up tens of thousands or millions of homes across the country and just turning them into rental properties. So they're just trying to control the market. They want everybody to become a renter, basically, right? So if you are, a go-getter like yourself, I mean, this is the time where you need to secure your rental properties, because people are going to be priced out of the market. That's just, it is what it is. And if you can buy that investment property at the right number, because you make the money on the buy and you can renovate it, have a nice property, do a little value add, put somebody in there that's going to, so you can net, $300-400 a month and just, rinse and repeat that. Because people can't afford $3,000 a month, $3,500. It's expensive to live. And if they can get out and not have to come up with all that money to down payment, their closing costs, they're renters. Money in the bank.
Yes.
It really is.
Rinse and repeat cycle.
Yeah. So we're going to wrap this up. But before we do, I want to say thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate your time. I know you have a flight to catch. But if you have any advice for anybody out there that's looking to get into the business, I mean, you're 23 years old. You've been doing this for 2 years, and it sounds like you're absolutely murdering it right now. What advice would you have for somebody out there that wants to get started?
I would say if you find something that you really enjoy doing within real estate or investing or even like wholesaling, dive into it very deep and learn everything there is to know about that one specific topic. And don't try to spread yourself too thin and learn about condos and multifamilies and land and townhouses all at the same time. Just find one, get really good at it, and kind of like brand yourself as that's exactly what you do. Because once you have that, you'll start receiving a lot of influx of people like bringing opportunities to you, start going to networking events and kind of just telling people that's what you do and have that as your identity before you switch into anything else.
Love it.
Yeah,
Love
that's
it.
great advice.
So I hope we see you again. It sounds like we might,
Yes.
since now you are hopefully going to be partners or doing business with Ray, which is absolutely amazing. And we're going to get him on the next podcast to talk about his developments in Mexico and his tequila and everything else. So it's really exciting. There's a lot of stuff to talk about, but hopefully we'll see you back here soon.
Yes, of course. And thank you so much for your time and having me here. It's
It was
been
a pleasure.
It's been an
Yeah,
amazing
very nice to
time.
meet
Yeah, it's been awesome. So, all right, guys, that wraps up our podcast today. If you are thinking about moving to the Las Vegas area, make sure you reach out to us. Or if you have any questions about the real estate market here in Las Vegas, you know where to find us. Until next time, we'll see you on the next episode.